Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel Wisdom Circle. We are here and we are live and we are ready. Who's ready today? Who is ready to hear the messages from the Cosmic Collective Consciousness? That's right. All right. So, welcome, everyone. And of course, I'm Monica Bay, also known as the Divine Mother. I always forget to introduce myself because this isn't about me, this is about you. All right. So, let's get into it. So, I'm already connected, and what they want to talk about today, what the Cosmic Collective Consciousness wants to talk about today is your life as alchemy. Ooh, okay. So you're understanding that your life is alchemy itself. So what is alchemy? Alchemy is the process of traditionally turning lead into gold, right? Alchemy is the process of transformation, of transmutation that leads to transformation, right? So understanding that your entire lifespan is a form of alchemy. It is alchemy for your soul. It is alchemy for your spirit. It is also alchemy for your ego. A lot of times we don't talk about we talk about the ego a lot of times in very negative uh, connotations, and it's because it does create negativity. But one thing that I always teach is that I'm not a proponent of ego death because the ego is there for a reason. We were put on this on this earth with an ego for a reason. That is the part that helps us accept or really makes us accept this illusionary reality as it is. Without the ego, we're not in the illusion, and we're not experiencing the experience of this illusion, which is the human experience, right? So the ego is there for a reason, but it's not supposed to be in the driver's seat. It's not supposed to be running things. That's where the problem happens, right? And so what I teach people regarding the ego is to balance the ego, right? So to put it in the back seat, sometimes it needs to be in the trunk, right? And then we are here to ascend the illusion, but we're also here to experience the illusion. So there's duality there. So I want to just preface everything with that so you guys understand that when I say this is also alchemy for the ego, because that ego is that I am. That is the version of you who sees itself as an individual, who accepts that false reality that you are an individual and doesn't acknowledge the oneness of reality of what the true world as the book of Rashida calls it. So that ego is also here on a transformation, and that transformation of the ego, that alchemy of the ego, also helps you with your soul growth. Okay, because your soul is the one, and this may be a difficult concept for some of you to understand who have always heard that the ego is so bad all the time. Um, the ego also helps with your soul growth. And remember, if you can pull up those three pillars of life. So the Cosmic Collective Consciousness, sometime last year, I don't remember when, downloaded to me these three pillars of life. And so the three pillars, if you can make that bigger so they can see better, the three pillars of life are the vessel, which is not just your physical body, but also your energy system, your life purpose, and your soul growth. And those are the actually only things that matter to your incarnation. Okay. Everything else is underneath that. Everything else is supplementary to those three things. So the ego is supplementary to both the both the life purpose and the soul growth, but mostly the soul growth. Okay, you can turn that off now. So thank you. For the soul growth, because as we move through our existence, our soul is here to also grow. How does our soul grow? It's through the challenges, through the situations that end up being presented to us in our life that we have contracted for, because those are all soul contracts that we have contracted for this particular life experience. That includes the ego. So as the ego grows through this life experience, so too does the soul growth happen. Okay, it's through those experiences that the soul then gets to understand things more within this context of illusion. Okay, and then is able to grow past this lifetime and continue on forward from there. And so the balancing of the ego and the soul, and the vessel and all of those things are the challenge of this, what I call video game, this life that we're living, right? So when I say that alchemy, I mean, your life is alchemy itself. All of these things, everything that happens in your life is there for your transformation, for your alchemy into that. What are we alchemizing into? We're alchemizing into our highest version of ourself in this lifetime. Okay, and we're also, again, with the soul growth, we're alchemizing our soul into a higher understanding of itself. Okay, past this lifetime. So if you guys get that, okay, so understand that everything that you have gone through in life is there for your own alchemy. And so if you think of all of the good things that have happened in your life, as well as all of what you would consider bad things that have happened in your life. And why do I say what you would consider bad? Because there is no good or bad. Everything just is. It's our perception that determines whether we feel something is good or bad. Right. And that's exactly the word for today, Alita, gratitude. That's what we're going to be talking about in terms of the alchemy of your life. I do want to talk about gratitude. They do want to talk about gratitude, understanding and appreciating all the things that have happened in your life and being able to understand how those things have got you to where you are today. And some of you may think, and when I say where you are today, well, I don't like where I am today. Listen, because I can hear you already. I'm telepathic too. Okay, I can hear you. I can hear your thoughts. All right. So for people who I'm going to speak to that because I literally heard that from some of you. I'm going to speak to that because a lot of times and this also goes into gratitude. A lot of times people feel like they're not where they should be in life. This is not a good place to be. I don't like this. And that's only because you are focusing on the lack. And you are also comparing yourself to other people's lives, which you shouldn't be doing. You are on your own journey, they are on their journey. Your life, you should only compare yourself, your current self, with your past selves. That's it. Okay? Not your future self, because that's not here yet. You're working towards that. When you look at your life and say, is my life good or bad right now? Do I like my life or not? Am I enjoying my life or not? Right? You should only be comparing that to your past selves. That's the only thing you're in competition with. Okay? You are in competition with your past versions of yourself. Okay? And not referring to necessarily life circumstances, right? Because life circumstances go up and down. Okay, that's life. That is life. It goes up and down. Yes, that life isn't fair channel message fits perfectly with this one today. So go back and watch that one. That was, I think, last week. So your life is a canvas in uh, that is there for your alchemy. Okay, and so all of the things that have happened in your life, all of the positive things, all the negative things, have led you to where you are today. And where you are today should be better than where you were before, and I guarantee you it is. And again, I'm not talking about circumstances. Like I said, circumstances can go up and down. We are abundant, and then we are not abundant, and then we are abundant and we're not abundant, and then we are really abundant, and then we are less abundant. Like this is the flow and the cycle of life, because everything is an exchange, right? There is the law of impermanence. So nothing really stays forever in a particular state of being. Everything fluctuates in life, and so that's what you have to understand and accept. And so the gratitude part is really having gratitude for where you are right now, because where you've been is not where you are. Where you've been is what was where let me say what where you have been held lessons for your future and for your growth. And so when you look at where you've been and the things that you've had to go through, because every single person who's watching has had to go through something, because no one gets through life unscathed. Okay, let's talk about that. Message. Wait, hold on. Message. No one gets through life. Let me move this water because it's in my way. Um, no one gets through life unscathed. Like that doesn't happen. Okay, you can't even be a 2 year old without getting through life unscathed. Like everyone goes through something in life. Everyone has a challenge in life and multiple challenges throughout life. But those challenges are there to build you. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Okay, those challenges are there to build you, but also those wonderful, beautiful experiences that you've had in life are also there to build you, to show you what's possible. Because understand, how can we ever experience joy without experiencing sadness? We have to understand the feeling of sadness in order to appreciate the feeling of joy. Okay, so there's this polarity within our life experience, and this is why I always say we can limit suffering, but we can't eliminate suffering completely, because suffering is a part of the human experience. And so when you look at your life, I want you to think right now of the things that you have gone through. Let's talk about, because since a lot of people like to focus on lack, let's talk about the bad things, right? The what you would color as bad, the things that you have gone through. Okay, if you think about those things, think about then your reaction to those things. And then I want you to look at the whole trail of events that happened after that to see the beauty in it. Because, and I know that's hard to for some people to hear, especially if they went through something horrific in childhood or whatever. But the reality is that those things built you. Those things built you, and your reaction to those things built you. And even if your reaction was to fall into a sinkhole, eventually you crawled out of that sinkhole. Okay, that built you. The fact that you were even in the sinkhole built you the strength in order to crawl out of it. And you have shown yourself your power, you have shown yourself your strength. So, understanding that where you are in life is a positive thing. It doesn't matter where you are right now. Like for each individual person has a different life story. Understand that you are being alchemized right now. Your life is a form of alchemy, and you are alchemizing into your best self. You are alchemizing into your soul growth. You are alchemizing into your life purpose, because whatever you contracted here to do, whatever impact you contracted to have in this world needs to be had. And it will be had one way or another. And that's also a quote from the book of Rashida. It will be had one way or another. And so if you're not listening, of course, then it's going to happen more through struggle, because you're not listening. And that's the only other way to get your attention. But if you are listening, which usually when you're younger, you're not listening, because most of us are not brought up in households that believe like we believe now. We're brought up in households that teach you disconnection versus connection. So most people don't grow up like that. So of course you're not going to be listening when you're younger. But as you become an adult and as you start getting into your own self and spirituality and stuff like that, then you can start becoming more connected. And so and everyone has their own different experience, but that is the majority. And so um, if you are disconnected, yeah, you're not going to receive, and therefore you're not going to be able to listen if you're not receiving. And then also, if you do get it, you're just not going to listen, and so you will suffer more. But as you become an adult, you have the ability to limit your suffering, and so life can become more and more beautiful. But life is alchemy. So when you think about, let's flip it now and talk about the positive things in life, the positive things that you have gone through. Understand that all of that beauty is history. All of that, just like the bad things, all of that is within your energy system still. Everything that ever was still remains. Remember that. Energetically, everything that ever was still remains. And so if you are able to activate those energies, those positive energies of the great things that you've accomplished in life. And for anyone who thinks they haven't accomplished anything, you're not looking with the right perspective at your life. Because I guarantee you have accomplished many things that you are probably discounting and thinking that they are not accomplishments. Okay, because you're too focused on the lack. You're too focused on what isn't right. You're too focused on what you want things to be. Understand and recognize the positive things that you have experienced in life, the things that you have been able to get through, the things that you have accomplished. Challenges become accomplishments. Okay, challenges do become accomplishments, and if you focus on the lack, then you won't see the accomplishment. But gratitude is about really being able to see those accomplishments. And when you understand your life as alchemy, then it helps you have a better perspective of your life experiences. Because what the process of alchemy is turning one thing into another. And there's many, many processes in between the A and the Z, right? The A is what you were before, the Z is who you become. There's many processes that have to happen in between that, that is your life. That is your life experience. These are the things that you have gone through, the things that you have triumphed, the great moments that you've had. And if you are present in those moments, in that alchemy, then you are able to direct the alchemy process faster, more easier, and more deliberately. Okay, you can be more precise in your alchemy process. So I want you to become an alchemist for your life, to become an alchemist for your soul, to become an alchemist for your life path and your purpose. So if you step into the seat as the alchemist, then you are the one who's creating the transformation. You are the one who is taking the metals and the materials and resources that you're given and alchemizing that into something. So, what are you doing right now to become the alchemist in your life? Don't think of, and the reason why I say become an alchemist in your life, because that puts you in the driver's seat. That doesn't put you in the back seat sitting around like, okay, I'm being alchemized and I'm just, sitting here and just allowing everything to happen. Again, you can be in the driver's seat, understanding that, yes, this alchemy is happening, but you have the ability to drive it. Okay, I'm going to read a comment here from the Ascension Guide, the real Ascension Guide, not the fake one. She says, yes, I am definitely in a period of alchemy and rebirth. Yes, yes. And thank you for saying that, because at the end of alchemy, what happens? There's a rebirth. And I'm always telling you guys, we are always in the process of becoming, and rebirth is always happening. We're always having mini rebirths or large rebirths throughout our life experience. And when you are, so really, like I said, you are always being alchemized in smaller forms, right? And then there's the larger alchemy of your entire life experience, your entire trajectory of your life. And again, when you look at it like that, and you also see the rebirths, the mini rebirths that go along the way, then you can be in gratitude. And so when people think of gratitude, a lot of times people say, well, I can't find anything. I've heard a lot of people tell me this. I can't find anything to be grateful for, because they're so stuck in that mindset of negativity and so stuck in that mindset of lack and victimhood that they can't possibly see anything positive in their life. And so when they say that, I start bringing them down the road, okay? And then they start to see it. And so the reality is, it doesn't matter where you are in life or what you believe that you're lacking. You are abundant. Abundance is around you all the time. Abundance is within you. And so you are abundant, and there are positive things in your life, and there are things that you can pat yourself on the back for. There are things that you can appreciate and say that, yes, I did that, and have gratitude for in your life right now. Okay, the heal, grow, glow. I can never say it. The heal, grow, glow. I'm gonna try it. Oh, hey, hold on, wait a minute. The heal, grow, glow coach. I always laugh because that always tickles me. Anyway, because it tongue tied. Okay, she said I pulled cards about this today. I needed this. Ooh, I love that. See, the cosmic collective consciousness always pulls through with exactly what you need to hear. All right, and Monique said yes, and rebirth is a decision. Ooh, yes, I like that. I'm gonna, even though I didn't say it, you said it, I'm gonna message that. Message. Message. That's right. That's right. Yes, the rebirth is a decision. Thank you. I love that. And it really is. It really is, because you have a choice. Everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. You can choose to stay in negativity. You can choose to focus on the lack of your life. You can choose to be a victim. You can choose to cry in a corner and sit in quicksand and never get out. You can choose to do that, but that choice doesn't lead you to the alchemy of your life. That choice leads you to the quicksand and the corner. It doesn't lead you to anywhere else. Okay. And until you find your way out of that quicksand, until you find your way out of that corner, then the alchemy process gets halted. Okay. And so, again, understanding your life as alchemy and understanding those rebirths and being able to see those positive things in your life is key to your life purpose, key to your soul growth, key to your vessel, key to your life experience and the enjoyment and fulfillment of that life experience. Oh, oh, did I say that before? Okay, then I guess that was mine. Monique says she learned that from me, her divine mother. Yes. Okay. I don't remember half the things I say. Listen, I was like, "Ooh, that was good." It was still good though. Thank you for saying that. All right. So the thing is, you have to start recognizing the positivity in your life. And what I was saying earlier was a lot of times when people think of gratitude, they have a hard time saying they have a hard time seeing the gratitude, and so then they just point to things like, okay, I'm happy that the sun came out. Okay, that's not real. Yes, we're happy that the sun came out, but let's be real, people. Okay, we're gonna be real here. Okay, because that's all we do. That's not something to really that most people can grab onto and connect to and make them feel good about their life. Okay, so yes, the sun came out, but you have way more things to be grateful for. And yes, we are grateful for that, because without sun there's no life. But in your life, find things to be grateful for in your life. Not about the weather, not about not anything that's, in this planet that's outside of you. Find something that you can be grateful for your life. Why? Because that sense of gratitude you can connect to. That sense of gratitude you can automatically attach to and feel it. And the purpose of gratitude is attaching and feeling that gratitude, attaching to that point of positivity and feeling that gratitude inside. There's something that happens when you focus and you feel gratitude from deep within. Your energy system starts to change. Things can start to automatically clear out. There's a healing that starts to happen automatically without you even trying, just by simply practicing the act of gratitude. Okay. So, again, finding something in your life, not the sun coming out, but in your life. What is great about your life right now? I'm watering that gratitude to grow. Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. Let me see some more comments here. Okay, the worthiness coach said, "This is timely. My therapist helped me reframe my frustrations yesterday." Okay, I love that. I usually center gratitude, but I had to remember my improvement. Yes, yes. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't remember their improvements. So, this is why it's important I tell people to keep a gratitude journal. And if you have just a separate journal just for gratitude, not a journal where you're putting everything else in. So, just when you need a pick me up, and you wake up in the morning and you're practicing gratitude as your morning routine, you pull out that particular gratitude journal. You thumb through it. Look at old things that you wrote in there. Look at old things that you wrote in there, and remember the beautiful things that have happened. I did this today. I had whatever happen, and I'm grateful for that. And I did this manifestation, and it came true. You know what? A lot of people. Let's talk about that for a second. There's a lot of people, because you guys know I teach manifestation. I teach a lot of things, and I see a lot of people who are like, I teach them manifestation, and they manifest things, and they work, right. And then they have the nerve to say, "Well, I'm not powerful." I'm like, hello, what did you just do? You just manifested something that, first of all, was very hard to manifest. Did you get the result? Yes. Okay. Don't you see your power? What's the problem? Smack it. This is what, there's a lot of people that do that because they're maybe I don't know, thinking in their head like, well, yeah, I did that, but I didn't do this, or I did that, but this, whatever it is, like I don't know what they're thinking, but understand that when you have manifestations, okay, and they work, okay, and if you're a student of mine, they always work, okay? They always work. So if you know that you are doing that, that is also something to be grateful for. That is also something to be grateful for. So whenever you're feeling powerless, because this happens, we go into spirals. We are standing in our power, we are standing in our God form, and then something happens to knock us off because we allowed that to knock us off, because nothing can knock us off unless we allow it. But regardless, we allowed it to knock us off, and now we slip into a state of powerlessness and completely forget where we were when we were standing in our God form. And so that's important to also remember. And this is why gratitude is important, because it keeps you present. It keeps you in recognition of your power. It keeps you in recognition of yourself. and who and what you can really do. So keep a gratitude journal. Write down the things every day that you are grateful for, or at least once a week, or however often you want to do it. But keep it. And then when you need a pick me up, go back to that gratitude journal. Read those entries, okay? And then write a new journal that day. And you will be reminded of your power. And like I said, when there's something that happens within you when you experience true gratitude. Your entire energy lifts, your burdens fall. You start to really feel the energy of, oops, hold on. You start to really feel the energy of of your grace, of your power, of your positivity. All of those things start to happen. Your aura starts to automatically cleanse. You start to gain your power back. The veil of powerlessness is lifted. And why do I call it a veil of powerlessness? Because powerlessness is a lie. Powerlessness is always a lie, 100%. So anytime you feel powerless, you are lying to yourself. Okay? Message anytime, 100% of the time, because you are never, ever, ever powerless. You are always powerful. It's just whether or not you see your power, whether or not you recognize your power. And gratitude helps you get there. Gratitude helps you keep you there. Because why do we want to do things like gratitude often? Again, because life is gonna life. Okay, and we are oftentimes in situations where we forget our power, and that happens, right? That happens from time to time. But if you continuously remind yourself of the wonderful things that are going on, that your life is alchemy also, in that gratitude, understanding the alchemy that's going on in your life, that you are moving from one thing to another, that you are moving to higher ground, that you are evolving into a better version of yourself all the time through life experiences. That's why we are here, to experience the human experience. So when you remember those things, it keeps you grounded in your power. And it's very hard, if you are doing that practice, it's very hard to slip back into that powerlessness. And even if you find yourself slipping for a second, you go back to that gratitude journal, you are right out. You never went into that well, you never went into that hole, you never went into that quicksand, because you took the choice. You took your power back. Okay. So, my advice to everyone watching is to start a gratitude journal if you don't already have one. If you have one and you haven't been writing it and you haven't been using it, get back to that practice, because it's very, very important to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and be strong as you're moving through life. Because, like I said, life is like this. There is a law of impermanence. Okay. Everything is not going to be rainbows and sunshine all the time. So you need to be strong and resilient. Gratitude helps build resilience as well. Resilience is very important in order to get through hard times. And that's just reality. And many people are going through hard times right now. But there's also still beautiful times within those hard times. And so it gratitude is not about ignoring the things that you see as bad in your life right now, the things that you don't like. That gratitude isn't about ignoring those things. It's about choosing which to focus on. Okay. You only need to focus on the things you don't like in order to change them, only for a moment, to be able to see it and recognize it, acknowledge it, and then work on changing that, because that's your power. But you need to be walking in the light. You need to be walking in gratitude. You need to be walking in the positivity, because that will get you out of the negativity. Focusing on the negativity and staying in just the focus on the negativity itself, not focus on solutions, is not going to get you into the light. That's going to keep you in the dark. So there's balance and duality in everything, but your focus on daily, and where you see yourself, your life perspective, should be in the light. It should be in the gratitude, not in the lack. It should be in the abundance, not in the lack. And focusing on that, because what you focus on is what you get in life. So focusing on the abundance. Okay, I know where I'm here. This part of my life I don't like, but I love these parts. This part I'm going to work on. But where's my focus going to be? Not, oh no, I'm in this spot. Oh no, woe is me. Victim mode, victim mode, victim mode. No, the point is going to be, okay, I acknowledge that. I don't like it. What do I need to do to change it? Okay, let's go. There you go. That's what you need to be doing. And so keeping that gratitude journal again will keep you grounded and keep you in that state of being and be able to really enjoy your life. Okay, I'm going to read a couple comments before we get going. So I'm borrowing that. Okay, to the spiral key to the next level of ascension or a spiral key downward. Yes, the actions determining your direction. Exactly, exactly. And Monique said, gratitude keeps you grounded. Yes, it shifts your focus from what you're missing to what already is flowing in your life. Exactly, exactly. And let's talk about that flowing in your life, like Monique just said, because I always tell you guys that abundance is always there. Whether you choose to see it or not is up to you, but abundance is always there. It doesn't matter where you are in life right now. There is abundance in your life. And when you focus on that abundance, it flows even more because it is a flow. It is a flow. When you focus on it, it opens up the floodgates. It allows it to flow even more. When you're focused on the lack, guess what happens? The door starts to close slowly but surely. And then you end up locking the door. And then you're wondering why you're not experiencing the abundance. It was already there. You closed the door to it. You have to keep that door open and allow it to flow. Your mind, your consciousness, your thoughts opens the door. Your energy opens the door. And those same things also close the door. So if you are focusing on lack, that flow is not going to be there. And the more you focus on the lack, the more that's all you'll see and the more that's all you'll experience. You are responsible for your human experience. You are responsible for the actual things that you experience. And it's so simple but not easy because I know that like I said, we're always fighting against our own nature, our mind. We're fighting against our traumas. We're fighting against all those things. Hence, why you need to definitely focus on healing and doing spiritual maintenance to your vessel, which is number one in those three pillars of life. But when you are not focused on lack, you get and you are focused on that abundance. The thing that makes it simple is all you have to do is shift your focus. And once you're focused here towards the abundance, it all starts flowing better. Your life starts getting better. You notice that your experience is better. Even if the situation that you were so focused on before is still there, even if that situation is still there, eventually that situation will let up if you keep focusing over here. And especially if you're manifesting and doing actions and whatever you need to do to change that situation, right? But if you keep focusing on the situation, sitting in a corner crying about it, then you're just going to be in the situation. If you focus over here on abundance, it flows more, your life gets better, your human experience gets better, you become happier, your mental health gets better, your emotional health gets better, you become more resilient to that thing that may still be there. It may still be there, but it no longer affects you as much. It no longer is a burden on your shoulders. It's no longer something that you have to be focused on. It's no longer something that you have to allow to make you suffer. Okay? Suffering is a choice. And it is your choice whether you actually experience suffering or not. It's not about life being perfect because you don't have to suffer just because you are in a situation you don't appreciate or you don't like and that you want to get out of. That doesn't have to cause suffering. You are the one who chooses to suffer in that situation. Okay? You can actually not suffer. You can actually focus on something else, focus on, the positivity, focus on the abundance of everything else, which I know, like I said, it's easier said than done. Easier said than done. You're fighting against yourself. But I've given you all the tools to do that. If you are paying attention to these daily lives, if you're paying attention to the divinity sessions, and especially if you are a Mystic University student, you have all the tools you need. Okay? You have all the tools you need to be able to win that battle against yourself. Okay? So the reality is stay in gratitude, recognize and remember and reframe the way that you view your life and your life circumstances and see that as alchemy itself. Yes, yes. Monique said the Ptah class was amazing. Yes, at Mystic University, I taught a class on Ptah, which is the god of creation, but took that into different Egyptian god of creation, took that into different realms of understanding creation itself and the creation of your life and all those other things. And it was very, very powerful. Yes, that was an amazing class. So that is, I don't know if that's available, the replay's available for sale yet, but it's coming. So go to mysticuniversity.net. All right. So yes, I will end this with just reiterating that you need to keep that gratitude journal. Okay, that's the takeaway for today. Keep that gratitude journal. And also, the second takeaway for today is understanding that your life is alchemy itself. And when you see your life as that, you'll be able to see the abundance versus the lack. You'll be able to see how one thing is turning you and changing you and alchemizing you into something else. But also don't forget to be the alchemist in your life, so that while these things are happening, you are steering the ship. And that allows you to control your experience. That allows you to improve your human experience and also elevate spiritually. That helps you move more towards your soul growth, your soul path, and improving your vessel and making sure your vessel is right in order for you to move through that vessel into this human experience. Okay, everyone, that is all I have to say for today. So I will see you guys tomorrow again on the Channel Wisdom Circle. And they channeled a lot today. I hope you guys got the message. There weren't that many gut punches today, but maybe a couple. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. And I will say in the divine language, which essentially means peace be unto you, Zor Kunti. And I'll see you next time.